Folks, Clint Eastwood just turned down $4.5 million for a Cobra that's been sitting in his garage since 1965. But here's the real kicker. He bought it for $7,500 back when he was still doing TV westerns. Today, we're going to look at the 10 rarest cars in Dirty Harry's collection. And let me tell you, these aren't your average classic cars. From a Ferrari that even Carroll Shelby couldn't get his hands on, to a one-of-one muscle car that Detroit thought was crushed decades ago, these machines are the stuff of automotive legend. And wait until you see number 3. It's a prototype that Ford executives didn't even know existed until Eastwood showed it to them at Pebble Beach. Number 10. 1951 Hudson Hornet. Let's kick things off with something special, a car that Clint says reminds him of his father. This isn't just any Hudson Hornet. This is one of only 43 built with the ultra-rare twin-H power package and factory light and body panels. Basically, it's a NASCAR car with license plates. Under that long hood sits a 308 cubic inch straight six making 170 horsepower. Doesn't sound like much today, but in '51, this thing was beating Oldsmobile V8s like they were standing still. The twin-H power setup means dual carburetors, bigger valves, and a hotter cam. But here's what makes this one special. It's got documented race history at Daytona Beach, back when they actually raced on the sand. Clint found this car in a barn in Georgia, where it had been sitting since 1962. The previous owner was a former moonshine runner who'd bought it straight from the Hudson factory race program. During restoration, they found mason jars full of white lightning still hidden in the rear quarter panels. Talk about authentic history. The restoration took 3 years and cost more than a new Porsche. Every single part had to be correct for early 1951 production. They even tracked down one of the original Hudson assembly line workers, now in his 90s, to verify the paint mix. The color? Hudson dark green, but with a special mix that the factory only used for their race cars. Number 9. 1964 Ferrari 250 GT Lusso. Now, here's something that'll make any Ferrari fan's heart skip a beat. This Lusso isn't just rare, it's the last one ever built, and it's got a Hollywood connection that goes beyond Eastwood. Steve McQueen actually tried to buy this exact car back in '67, but Clint wouldn't sell at any price. The 3.0-liter Colombo V12 is a masterpiece of Italian engineering, 240 horsepower through 3 Weber carburetors, each one hand-tuned by the same guy who worked on Ferrari's race cars. The engine number, 5367, marks it as the final Lusso production engine. Every single part is numbers matching, right down to the spark plug wires. Clint bought this car in 1964, right after filming A Fistful of Dollars. Story goes, he drove it straight from the Ferrari factory to Spain to start filming for a few dollars more. The car still has the original Italian temporary export plates tucked away in the tool roll. During restoration, they found Spanish pesetas from 1964 under the seat, probably from his filming days. What makes this Lusso really special is its originality. Most of these cars got thrashed or modified, but this one's been babied its whole life. Even has the original toolkit still wrapped in the factory oil paper. The leather is original too. Clint says it still smells the same as it did in '64. Number 8. 1970 Plymouth Hemi Cuda Convertible. If you want to talk about rare muscle cars, it doesn't get much better than this. One of only 14 Hemi Cuda convertibles built in 1970, and one of just 4 with a 4-speed manual. But here's what makes this one extra special. It's the only one painted in plum crazy purple with a white interior. Under that shaker hood sits the legendary 426 Hemi, making a factory-rated 425 horsepower, though everybody knows that number was way low. Chrysler was trying to keep the insurance companies happy. This particular engine, number 0440, was actually dyno tested at 465 horsepower before installation. The build sheet still exists, marked Special Handling Package code for, "We built this one right." Clint found this car in Montana, where the original owner had parked it in 1973 when gas prices shot up. Still had the original window sticker in the glove box and less than 16,000 miles on the clock. Even the original Goodyear polyglass tires were still on it, though they're display only now. The restoration was done by the same guys who built these cars on the assembly line in 1970. They even found one of the original paint mixers from the Plymouth plant, who remembered this specific car because the purple paint was such a pain to get right. Number 7. 1956 Jaguar XKSS. Now here's a car that'll make any gearhead weak in the knees. One of only 16 XKSS models ever built before the factory fire destroyed the rest. This isn't just any XKSS, it's the actual development car that Jaguar used to certify the model for U.S. road use. Talk about providence! The 3.4-liter straight six is basically a D-type racing engine in street clothes. 250 horsepower through 3 Weber carburetors, and a sound that'll make your hair stand on end. This particular engine, number 1067, was hand-built by Jaguar's racing department. Even has special high-compression pistons that weren't available on regular production cars. Clint bought this beauty in 1972 from a retired racing driver in Northern California. The guy had been using it as a daily driver. Can you believe that? During restoration, they found race timing sheets from Riverside tucked under the seat padding. Turns out this car had quite a racing career before Clint got a hold of it. The restoration took 4 years and cost more than a new house. Every single part had to be correct for early 1956 production. They even tracked down one of the original Jaguar welders, now living in Coventry, England, to verify the frame repairs. The British racing green paint, mixed using the original formula, complete with actual ground malachite in the base coat. Number 6. 1963 Shelby Cobra 289 Factory Competition. Now, here's the car that Clint turned down $4.5 million for. One of only 6 factory competition 289 Cobras, and the only one fitted with the experimental aluminum head engine. Carroll Shelby himself delivered this car to Clint back in '65, and they remained friends until Shelby's passing. Under that aluminum hood sits a 289 cubic inch Ford V8, but not just any 289. This is the prototype aluminum head engine that Shelby was developing for the GT40 program. 385 horsepower when most 289 Cobras were making 306. The whole car weighs just 2,019 pounds, lighter than a modern Miata. The story goes that Shelby offered this car to Clint after seeing him race his regular 289 Cobra at Willow Springs. Said he needed someone who could handle the extra power without wrapping it around a tree. During restoration, they found Carroll's cigarette burns still on the passenger seat. Apparently, he was a little nervous watching Clint test drive it. Everything on this car is original, right down to the Goodyear racing tires that came with it. The logbook shows every race, every oil change, every spark plug change since new. Even has Shelby's handwritten notes about the special cam timing still taped inside the glove box. Number 5. 1970 Ford Mustang Boss 429. Folks, this isn't just any Boss 429. This is the prototype that Ford used for all their promotional photography. One of the first 10 built, and the only one painted in a special mix of grabber blue that never made it to production. The story behind this car is pure Hollywood. That 429 cubic inch V8 is NASCAR technology in street clothes. Officially rated at 375 horsepower, but this prototype dynoed at 465. Ford had to detune the production versions for insurance reasons. The engine bay is so stuffed with that massive V8 that they had to relocate the battery to the trunk and modify the shock towers. Each engine was hand-built by the same guys who built Ford's NASCAR engines. Clint got this car directly from Ford in 1969. He was filming Kelly's Heroes at the time, and Ford's PR department thought having Dirty Harry drive their meanest Mustang would be good publicity. During restoration, they found the original Ford promotional department tags still zip-tied to the steering column, along with the photographer's light meter settings written in grease pencil under the hood. The restoration was done by the same team that built these cars at CarCraft back in '69. They even found the original paint mixer, who remembered this specific car because the special blue color was such a headache to get right. Every nut and bolt is date-coded correct for August 1969 production. Number 4. 1957 Mercedes-Benz 300 SL Roadster. Here's something special. One of only 29 aluminum-bodied 300 SL Roadsters ever built. But this one's got an even better story. It was originally ordered by Clark Gable, who backed out of the deal when he found out the delivery time was 18 months. Their loss was Clint's gain about 20 years later. The 3.0-liter straight-six is pure German engineering at its finest. Fuel injection when most cars still had carburetors. Aluminum block when everyone else was using iron. Makes 240 horsepower through mechanical fuel injection so precise it could probably run on cologne. The all-aluminum body saves 176 pounds over the steel version, like taking a passenger out of the car. Clint found this car in a Beverly Hills garage in 1977, covered in dust but completely original, and it even still had Gable's canceled deposit check in the documentation package. During restoration, they discovered this was actually the Paris Auto Show car from 1957. Found the original display plaque still wrapped in paper in the spare tire well. The restoration took 5 years and cost more than a new Ferrari. They had to bring in specialists from Germany who knew how to work with the aluminum body panels. Even the paint mix is special. It's Mercedes-Benz silver, but with real silver powder in the mix, just like they did in the 50s. Number 3. 1967 Ford GT40 Mk3. Now, here's the prototype that Ford executives didn't even know existed until Eastwood showed it at Pebble Beach. One of only 7 GT40 Mk3 street cars ever built, and the only one with experimental aluminum monocoque construction. This is the missing link between the Le Mans winning race cars and the street versions. Under that rear clamshell sits a 289 cubic inch V8 that's basically a race engine with license plates. 306 horsepower through the Weber carburetors, each one hand-tuned by Carroll Shelby's personal mechanic. The whole car weighs just 2,200 pounds. That's lighter than a modern Civic. The aluminum construction saved 300 pounds over the standard steel cars. Clint bought this car from a Ford engineer who'd hidden it away when the program was canceled. Story goes they were supposed to crush it, but this engineer couldn't bear to see it destroyed. He kept it in his barn in Michigan for 30 years before selling it to Clint. During restoration, they found Henry Ford II's personal inspection signatures still on the chassis plate. The restoration was done by the original GT40 team members, including some guys in their 80s who came out of retirement just for this project. They even found the original dyno sheet showing this engine was actually tested at Holman Moody before installation. Number 2. 1971 Ferrari 365 GTB4 Daytona Competizione. Here's one that'll make any Ferrari fan's jaw drop. This is the actual prototype Daytona race car that Ferrari used to develop the competition package. One of only 3 factory-built lightweight Daytonas, and the only one with aluminum body panels and plexiglass windows. The 4.4-liter V12 is a masterpiece. 450 horsepower when most muscle cars were making do with 350. Each cylinder has its own Weber carburetor, and the engine was hand-built by the same guys who built Ferrari's Formula One engines. The sound? Like God's own orchestra when you hit 7,500 RPM. Clint found this car in Italy, where it had been stored in a chicken coop since 1975. Still had its original Firestone racing tires and factory-installed roll cage. During restoration, they discovered Enzo Ferrari's personal notes about the engine timing, still written in chalk inside the engine compartment. The restoration took 3 years and cost more than most houses. Every single part had to be verified by Ferrari Classiche. They even found one of the original test drivers, now in his 80s, who remembered this specific car because it was the fastest Daytona ever built. And at number 1, the 1968 Ford Mustang GT 390 Bullet. Folks, this is it, the holy grail of movie cars. This isn't just any Mustang, this is the Bullet Mustang that Steve McQueen drove in that legendary San Francisco chase scene. For years, everybody thought this car was lost to history. Turns out, it was sitting in a Kentucky barn since 1974. Under that Highland green hood sits the original 390 cubic inch V8, making 325 horsepower, though this one's got some special modifications. The engine was blueprinted by Max Balchowski, the same guy who built the old yellow race cars. During filming, they actually had to detune it because it was too fast for the camera cars to keep up. The story of how Clint got this car is pure Hollywood. He actually helped McQueen modify it for filming back in '68, and Steve promised him first dibs if he ever sold it. Well, McQueen never sold it. It disappeared after filming. Clint spent 40 years tracking it down, finally finding it in 2018. The previous owner's father had bought it through a Warner Brothers classified ad in 1974 for $6,000. During restoration, they found all kinds of movie history. The camera mounts were still welded to the frame, and McQueen's cigarette burns are still on the seat. They even found the original shooting script with Steve's handwritten notes about the chase scene stuffed under the back seat. Clint kept everything exactly as it was, even the dents from the famous chase scene. Well, folks, there you have it. The 10 rarest cars in Clint Eastwood's incredible collection. From American muscle to Italian exotics, each one tells a story of automotive history and Hollywood legend. Total value, north of $45 million. But as Clint says, some things are worth more than just money. You know what makes these cars really special? They're not just museum pieces. Eastwood drives every single one of them. Says there's nothing sadder than a car that never sees the road. Even takes that bullet Mustang out on foggy San Francisco mornings and says it helps him remember his friend Steve. Remember what Clint says about collecting cars: a man's got to know his limitations. But sometimes you've got to ignore them to get the car you really want. This is Vintage Vehicles, reminding you that sometimes the best stories in automotive history are written by the guys who make movie history too. We'll see you next time, folks, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to keep seeing America's greatest automotive treasures.